Hello and welcome back. In our previous episode, we talked about the various types and technologies for exporting your model data. I will include a link to this video in the description below. In this episode, we're going to demonstrate exporting or exchanging models via those various approaches and technologies. We're going to use very simple models and packages to demonstrate each of the formats for exporting, and I may say exchange. Important note, always baseline before a formal export, all right? This is very important note so that you can fall back if something goes wrong. All right, let's start with XMI 1.1, all right? So we're on the package we want to export. This model is included. You can always right-click in here, find in browser, and we're in the right parent package, and it includes 3 sub-packages: actors, use cases, and then the actual model diagram itself, which is the one we have up on the screen. So here what we're going to do is hold down the Control, Alt, and E for export. Just like that, and we get this dialog box here. And then always make sure you're on the right package. You can always change packages if you want. Make sure you're on the right package and you're going to the right share source, right? So we're using XMI 1.1. You all learned what that is. We want to format XML output and we're going to hit export. So we're going to go out. We're going to find the model location, the file share where we're going to put this. This is the naming convention we're using. This is use cases version 01 using XMI 1.1, all right? And so we're going to hit save. We're overwriting the file, and I'm good with that. And we're going to select export, and it's done. Let's next view the XML that is part of that export. So here we see the version of the XML is 1.1 using OMG's UML 1.3 standards at the time. And then you have the date stamp when it took place. You have some header data, and you can see down here, over here, I should say, that you're able to go through and view or parse the XML file for the metadata, the data that you're looking for, all right? So XMI 1.1 was used for exchanging model data between older tools. For example, 10, 20 years ago, we were using Argo UML, we're using Rational Rows and other tools. We used XMI 1.1 to exchange our model data between those disparate tools. In Sparx Enterprise Architect, we also use XMI 1.1 for working offline, because we had the ability to exchange our model data with other offline users, with the ability to import and merge back to the original project. You'll see that when we get to the import episode, which is coming up next, but I'm not going to say anything more about that right now. You'll get it, you'll understand it then when we get there. Next, let's export the same package using XMI 2.1. So again, we're going to make sure that we're on the package we want to export. We're going to hold down Control, Alt, and E for export. Verify the package that you're exporting. And let's go out to the target source. This time it's use cases version 01, XMI 2.1. All right, so we're going to select that. We're going to hit save. And we're going to replace this file, and we're going to choose XMI format 2.1, leave everything else the same, and select export, and it is done. And we have the ability here to view that XML file. So let's open this and let's look at this one next. Here we can see that this XML file supports XMI 2.1 following OMG standards for 2.1, right? So what's very important here is that it supports the UML 2.x standards. So when we're parsing the XML data, we can see the structure of the XML data, and we can view it, go to any particular area that we're interested in just by double clicking it. It takes you right to it. So if we're looking at the elements, let's look at actor 1. We're going down to the XML name paired values for actor 1 within this XML file. We use XMI 2.1 for exchanging model data between newer tools that supported this OMG standard. And XMI 2.1 was more efficient in dealing with UML extensions, that's 2.x, as part of UML between tools. Next, we're going to demonstrate the same model environment right here and package using Sparx Native XML. Now note, I didn't say XMI, it's Sparx Native XML, which is proprietary to Sparx only and is much more efficient and effective with managing model exchange data between your Sparx projects. So here, once again, in the same model, the same package, because we want all of this data here, we're going to be hitting Control, Alt, and E again for export to bring up this dialog box here. And this time, native formats, XML, right? And then we're going to choose the target that we're going to go to. And in this case, we're using, this is the naming convention we're using, use case version 01, and then XMI native, capital N, XML. And let's go ahead and overwrite this. Yes, thank you very much. Make sure you're on the package again that you want to export. You don't want to make a mistake there. And we're going to select export, and it has done that fast. The view XML is still available or enabled. Let's select it, and let's next look at this XML. So now look at the format of the XML that we've parsed here. You can see that it's using XML version 1.0. There's other metadata within the header, what package that we're exporting, and then down to the actual tables that are being exported, the Sparx SQL tables. This is a good way to learn the Sparx SQL tables that are important to you. You're able to go in. Let's look at the object table. We'll go ahead and double click and go down to the object table, name paired values. And we can see the metadata here that is being stored within the database that we can exchange. And then within that table, you can look at individual rows and you can get particular model data that may be important. So you can see here that this is an artifact type object. This is the name, and then all the other metadata involved. Let's go ahead and minimize this. So you can see here's your package metadata. Here's your object constraint table metadata. What's important to me may be properties if there are tag values. And here's your connector metadata. Of course, your diagram, which is mostly geometry for the layout and so on. So in this particular case, when I'm looking or parsing the XML files, I'm looking to see what data that they've introduced or they're touching right here. And I don't see any properties, the T_ properties, which are your tag values that are involved here. All right. So these are some of the things that I'm looking at. We can say, hey, they have scenarios involved here. So I can very quickly look at the XML and get an understanding of what's included in the data that they've done so far in the particular version of the model in which they're exchanging. So Sparx Native XML is really the only model exchange that I use today, right? Unless I am working with a company or a team that's using other UML tooling that supports either XMI 2.1 or 1.1. Sparx XML or Native XML is really the only format that I use. And I've shared that in many videos in the past. Next, we're going to demonstrate Sparx XEA using the same model diagram, the same package, all right? So again, we're going to hit Control, Alt, and E for export. And this time we're going to choose XEA. Now you'll notice as soon as we select that, the View XML is disabled. This is not XML. These are binary files. Very fast, very efficient, and I tell you about that in the previous video. So what we're going to do is we're going to browse our target location, and you can see that the save as type is XEA. We do not see the XML files that are in here. We're going to overwrite this particular file we already have in here. This is use case version 01 using Sparx XEA. All right. So we'll go ahead and select it. We'll hit save. It will go to overwrite that, and we're ready to go. Let's hit export. So this might take a little bit longer as it's producing the binary output. We'll go ahead and close this, and let's view that file next. So here's our XEA file. I'm using Notepad to open it up. Let's go ahead and double click that and look at it. So you can see here that this is a binary file. It's not XML, and it's not human readable. All right. So I think we all know that when we're talking about binary files. Now, Sparx XEA was introduced by Sparx Systems in EA 16, version 16. And this was at the end of 2021, if I remember correctly, and was pretty exciting because we wanted to do model exchange and back up very large projects. And it was very important that when we were doing this, that we could maintain these files, not concerned with the human readable aspects of it, but more of the efficiencies in dealing with large model transfers and round tripping. So there you go. That is Sparx Enterprise Architect methods and approaches to exporting and exchanging data. We talked about XMI 1.1, which I recommend that you not use. It's old, outdated. I certainly wouldn't trust it with important models. And it's really used to exchange data between much older tools, all right? We don't do merges anymore. You can see merge is available when you're in 1.1 right here. You're able to select what you want to merge based off the baseline that you did. Let's go ahead and close this. And you'll see that when you get into the 2.1, merging capabilities are no longer available. And today, I really don't recommend that anyone between Sparx 16 and 17 use 1.1 for model exchange within Sparx. All right. So 2.1 is based off of you using the UML 2.x extensions. And there are a plethora of MDG extensions. If we go out and we look, it's like, oh my goodness, right? You know, you wouldn't use 1.1, at least trust it with a lot of the extensions that are available for you today. All right, that's going to conclude this video. I hope that it was helpful for you. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about model import as part of the model exchange series. All right, so until that next episode, thanks very much for watching. I'm very interested to know, what are you doing for model exchange? What questions and concerns do you have? Post comments down below. Email is always well accepted. I get a lot of email versus commenting in YouTube, and I understand. But let's cover those subjects. Let's make sure that we're doing efficient and effective model exchange. All right, so until that next episode, happy modeling.